Hello and welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Time and Space, a Doctor Who podcast, where three Scottish guys review all of Doctor Who from 1963 to present. I'm joined again by Mike and Tom. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi, guys. All right, how's it going?
And now I'll just hand over to Tom for the news.
Would the owner of the blue box in private gallery 15 please report to the steward's office immediately?
Right, obviously, I'm going to have to start with, unfortunately, the untimely death of Sir Michael Gambon. Well, some people will probably best know him for Dumbledore in the Harry Potter, but he did pass away on the 28th of last month at the age of 82. I mean, he was an amazing actor. I remember, like I said, I remember him in Harry Potter growing up. So then it's a big loss to the acting world. Really.
He's been in Allergy in the House,
Yes.
and he was in the Dad's Army movie that was remade a few years back as well. So,
Oh, he was, yeah, wasn't he? Yeah.
yeah, he played Private Godfrey in the Dad's Army movie, and then he played the Prime Minister in Allergy in the House as well, didn't he? So,
Yes.
but I thought his performances in those two films. There was another film I was researching. I didn't watch the entire thing, but I hopefully will tonight. But it's called Churchill's Secret, and he played Winston Churchill. But by the time I started watching it, it was getting late, so I'm going to watch the rest of it tonight. But what I saw of it was actually really good, so I can't wait to watch the rest of it. But you'll be sorely missed.
It will be. Sorely missed him. But also, in the past couple of weeks, we've had the 60th specials trailer come out as well. Have you guys managed to catch that?
Yeah.
Yep, caught that.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It's great.
Yeah. To be fair, I've watched the trailer a fair few times, trying to catch out how David Tennant's going to play the Doctor, because I'm I don't know, I'm one of these people that's impatient and thinking to myself, right, how is he going to play it? How's he going? So I've been trying to find some clues in the trailer, but I don't know if it's just because of the scene that he was doing at the time or what. But it seems like he's playing this version of the Doctor a bit more gruffer.
Like he's been around. Well, obviously Doctor's been around a lot longer, but he's kind of taking that into. Well, it's been quite a few years since he was there before. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, he's obviously aged, as you say, but what I'm thinking of is he's maybe taking a little bit of the earlier Doctors, maybe a bit more gruffer, a bit more
older.
Yeah,
a more older soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's had a few more regenerations in between. The 11th, 12th, and the 13th Doctor, so he's lived a lot longer.
No, but what I mean is, compared to what he was playing when he was the 10th Doctor, it's a bit more mature. You know what I mean? Whereas,
he's a lot older.
Yeah, but it seems like in a couple of things, his voice is a lot more gruffer as well. So, yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to see how Donna gets her memories back and how that's going to play out.
I think
yeah, because in the trailer it kind of alludes to it a little bit, but then it's going to be interesting to see how they actually play it out through the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, because I think in the trailer you can see quite a lot from the first episode with Beat the Meat, and you can see quite a bit of the last episode.
But there's the one in between that we don't see a lot of.
Where the TARDIS runs away. So, she obviously seems to know how what's going on then. She has her memories back, so
it could be end the first episode, beginning the second episode that she gets her memories back.
I think it's quite in the first episode, I would imagine.
If you remember from the Christmas special from when before David Tennant regenerated, you could all these sort of events were happening, and it kind of ignited those sort of memories and everything else. So it could be the same again, where all these strange things are happening, and then all of a sudden, the very sight of the Doctor might trigger something. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and it might trigger the memories back. We don't know, but we just have to wait and see.
I mean, it could, yeah. But we can only speculate at this point as to what's going to happen, can't we?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But by the way, do you get like when I was talking about like Michael Gambon, I forgot to mention before. Do any of you guys know when he got knighted? By the way,
Oh, I don't actually.
Stephen?
No.
No, he got knighted in 1998 for his
Okay.
for his contributions into the entertainment industry as well. So, but sorry, I just want to share a quote as well, which I found online last night. So, like, he was getting interviewed, and basically he was saying how excited he was to play Dumbledore. And the fact that he was used to playing crooks and killers and all the rest of it, he was excited because he was actually playing a nice guy for a change. And he was quoted, he's like, Dumbledore is a complete opposite, isn't he? He's a very nice old man. So I thought it was a nice little quote there. So, and it was nice that he actually played something different to what he was used to. But I know we went off topic there, but
Well, then he was cast in Doctor Who to play an old grumpy guy. So
yeah. Well, yeah. So
Yeah, kind of went full circle there, didn't he?
yeah. But whatever he played in, though, he done brilliantly in. Like, you couldn't fault him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, it's true. And how do you guys feel about Murray Gold returning to write the music?
I loved Murray Gold's stuff when he was in the revival and everything else. All the music in that he did as well. Like when like when shit's about to go down and that, when you start hearing like a certain piece of music that he's played for that sort of scene. You know what I mean?
yeah, he's got loads of like great tracks. So it's good to have him back.
Yeah. So there's a lot of his songs that he created that give you goosebumps in a scene. It just adds to the scene as well, especially if it's dramatic or if it's funny or whatever. Completely adds to that scene, and it gives you like in certain scenes it gives you goosebumps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you think it's going to make a good addition to these next episodes and beyond, or is?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I think over time, like obviously it's been a lot of years since he last worked for Doctor Who, but I reckon with age comes wisdom as well, and he's probably got a few more things under his belt now, like a few more like ideas of how he does his songs and stuff. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, also, speaking of folk coming back, Bonnie Langford is returning as Mel as well for this next series coming up. Are we looking forward to seeing her again? Seeing what she's going to do with the character now that she's obviously older from her last run on Doctor Who, just to see where she's going to take this character now?
I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't seen much of Sylvester McCoy's adventure. I don't actually remember her in particular, but I need to do my research on that and have a look to see if there's anything online with any scenes with her in it. But because they're bringing her back, I'm assuming that she was a pivotal character during Sylvester McCoy's reign as the Doctor. So
she was a companion to Colin Baker, Sixth Doctor, and Sylvester McCoy. All her episodes will be on ITVX.
Yeah.
From season 23, season 24. Those are the two seasons that she's in.
Yeah.
She has a very brief time in the TARDIS, but she was in The Power of the Doctor at the end when they had that group meeting with all the companions and stuff. She was there.
Oh, yeah.
You probably know Bonnie Langford more. If you watch EastEnders, you'll know that she played Cushie's mum in EastEnders.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, I think she's going to be back for the 60th, I think, as well as Series 14. There's been quite a lot of set photos from Series 14 where she's there. I think she might be in the 60th as well.
And speaking of Ncuti Gatwa, what do we think of his costume and his new Sonic?
I don't know. I was a bit unsure of his costume, like his main costume that was released, where he had like the orange jumper and like the brown. I wasn't too sure to start with, but I think it's kind of grown on me somewhat.
Yeah.
I quite like the kilt one though.
Yes, I like the kilt one as well.
I've heard some people calling it a skirt, and I'm like, no, it's a kilt.
Blap him.
You know, whenever a kilt is called a skirt, you can hear a Scottishman rise from the grave and go, "No, it's not a skirt.
Give you a swift
I will
backhander.
correct you." It's like the legal tender argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is legal tender, boy.
Oh,
legal tender.
guys, I've had that argument down here before. Honestly, quite a few years ago, actually. Now I was down at a place. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it's down near London, and I had a Scottish £10 note. I was in, I think it was Booths or whatever. It was or the equivalent. Oh no, it was Waitrose. Sorry. And anyway, they were saying, "Oh, we can't accept that," and all the rest of it. And I said, "Well, you can't accept it because it's the pound sterling." And I said to the customer next to me, and I says, "Have you got a £10 note?" And she went, "Yeah." So she brought it out, and I said, "What does that say?" And it said sterling. And I was like, "Exactly. And what does it say on my note? Sterling." Well, there you go. So, and I said, "Look, I'm going to leave that right here. You can keep the change, and what do you call it? I'll pay for my."
Okay.
Okay, he paid for something. We shall never know what it is.
What was it?
What was it? Tell us. We must know.
So, sorry, did you lose me again?
Yes.
Sorry, where was I?
You paid for something.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
What did I buy? It was stupid. It was just like
You
crisps.
went for the gloves and the lemonade.
It was just drinks, like fizzy drinks and like crisps, and like chocolate and things like that. Stupid things. And it was like at the time when I was in the Army Cadets, and so I left the £10 note and that. I started walking out, and the manager approached me and I says, "Look, it's legal tender. It's like approved this already," and he sided with me because he had no choice. The customer's always right.
Anyway, I don't. Okay, I don't mind the new Sonic screwdriver. I think it's not bad. What does Mike think of the costume and the Sonic screwdriver?
I quite like it, to be fair. It's like I'm looking at it right now, and it's got a little bit of Matt Smith's, with a little bit of obviously David Tennant, with a little bit of like it's got a little bit of everything just joined together. If you see it, like if you've seen the photos and that, it looks like it's combined with Matt Smith's, David Tennant's, and maybe a couple other Doctors as well. You know what I mean? But I think it looks good. I just wonder why the sticky out bits.
Matt Smith. It's just Matt Smith.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, it looks a bit like David Tennant and Matt Smith, mostly by the looks of things. But it does look good. But I've also noticed that they've released the Sonic screwdriver to buy as well ahead of the 60th anniversary as well. So if anybody wants to buy it, they can at your local retailer or toy shop.
See, I like the look of the screwdriver, the new Sonic. It looks good to me anyway.
Yeah.
So there's obviously every Doctor gets their own and that, and it's a new iteration of it. But I mean, I think they've done a good job with it this time.
Mind you, they didn't change it when Christopher Eccleston to David Tennant. They didn't change it. It was still the same.
Yeah, I think they might do that as well this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, like, now that David Tennant's doing his 3-part special and that, he'll have this new screwdriver now it's going to get handed to Ncuti Gatwa.
Maybe, yeah.
But I've not. When I was doing my research last night as well, it says that he's not got like Ncuti Gatwa. I mean, his costume. It's not just one costume he's got. Each episode he's wearing different costumes.
Unless they're going to do it like the Doctor's trying to find his new look sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe. But I was looking into it, and I was looking at the set photos and everything else. And like, I think the first episode he's got his brown and his brown suit sort of thing, and then like they're doing a 1960s episode where he's wearing like a blue suit with white stripes down it with rocking an afro as well, which I can't wait for. I like the set photos look absolutely incredible. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to seeing that episode anyway.
That's good. Also, are you looking forward to the new behind-the-scenes series of Doctor Who that BBC Three is going to be airing this autumn?
Yeah, I think it'll be good because we haven't had a show like that since what?
The Doctor Who Confidential.
Yeah, that got cancelled years ago, didn't it? Like,
yeah, it was 2011. It got cancelled.
Yeah. So,
I think it was for budgetary reasons, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's for budget.
Well, this series is going to be like 30-minute long episodes. So they're produced by Bright Branch for the BBC Studios. It's going to be on BBC Three and BBC iPlayer as well. So it is.
That'll be good.
Yeah, it'd be good. Be useful for us anyway.
But no, it'd be good to see behind the scenes and things like that, and like try and catch up on the news as well. So of like what's happening in Doctor Who, and so it'll be good. It'll be good to see something like that come back. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and then also we've got another show to look forward to. We've got the Doctor Who X60, a musical celebration, which is going to feature live performances of Ruby Sunday's theme, The Life of Sunday, and the theme tune for the 15th Doctor as well. So it is Ruby Sunday's is the Doctor's new companion.
Yeah. Yeah, like I can't wait. I've said this numerous times, but I can't wait to hear the new Doctor Who theme tune, because they always seem to like try and up the game, so to speak, when it comes to the theme tune. So I'm looking forward to actually hearing what comes next, because I read somewhere apparently it was. Like the new theme tune is kind of like the Rawhide sort of theme, like going into battle sort of thing,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing that. So.
Stephen, any thoughts?
Yeah, basically just what Mike said. Like, I can't wait to hear Murray Gould's new themes for the Companion and the 15th Doctor, and we'll obviously hear the new theme tune as well. So I think it's just going to be great. So I can't wait.
No. Well, I think we should wrap the news up with asking you, Stephen, what is your theories for the Series 14 air date?
Well, my theory is that they said it's going to be in spring, right? So when Russell T Davies brought back with Series 1, it aired on the 26th of March 2005. Now, when was Easter Sunday that year? It was the following day. And then Series 2 followed the same trend. It was the 15th of April, the first episode aired of Series 2, and Easter Sunday was the next day. Series 3 and Series 4 kind of moved away from that somewhat. So my theory is that it will air on the 31st of March. No, the 30th of March, sorry. On the Saturday, the 30th of March, and then Easter Sunday will be the 31st of March. So that's when I think it's going to start airing. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, probably. Well, I think your theory could be close. I'm not even got a hazard a guess because I just wait for it. I just sit there like going, come on. But if it's following that trend of the Easter Sunday, the day before Easter Sunday, and that, it's could be more than likely that's what it's going to happen.
Could be, Mike.
I'm with Tom. I'm not even going to hazard a guess because it could be any time. They could even decide to do it next autumn. You know what I mean? But there could be a number of contributing factors as well to put into it. They could, like, production time might be behind. They might end up having a writer's strike again. Like, anything
It's
can
not
happen.
because it's all been filmed.
Eh?
The completed filming of Series 14 back in July.
All right, I thought they were filming it now. I thought that was.
I think they're just doing pickup shots
All
before
right,
they start Series 15.
right. Okay, I thought they were filming
This
now.
is all-
So I keep getting videos through. Like, I keep getting videos through about him doing like scenes and stuff like that. I thought they were filming now for season 14.
No, they've already said it could be spring next year when it comes out.
All right, sound.
So they wouldn't be saying spring next year if they hadn't got it all sorted out and ready to go.
All right.
They're probably still editing it and still doing a lot of work on special effects and stuff on it.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of it's already done.
Aye. But I just want to say something else about. I hope I say his name right because I just don't want to end up getting in trouble lots of people for saying his name wrong. But Ncuti Gatwa, I was looking like. Do you guys watch Sex Education?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I said that too quickly there.
Tom's a really massive fan and I've never seen it.
It's a really good program. So, like, for those that haven't seen it, it's set in high school about this awkward teenager whose mum is a sex therapist, and somehow,
Of course, Tom will be watching that.
Yeah, of course.
And what is that meant to mean?
You're sex mad, mate.
Okay, fair point, but still, stay away from that. Keep it Doctor Who. Keep it Doctor Who.
But anyway, but like, I'm just like, it's going to be relevant in a minute. But what I'm saying is so the main guy, he's a bit of an awkward teenager. He starts giving sex advice. Bear in mind, he's never had sex himself. He can't even masturbate or anything like that. Now, Ncuti Gatwa plays his best friend, the main character's best friend. And in the latest season, the main character, who's Otis, he's trying to get some more clients. He's trying to do this presentation about who he is and what he does and everything else. But he just does it so awkwardly. He just says to people, if you're like me and think about sex all the time and think about this and think about that. And Ncuti Gatwa's character is like just sitting in the audience and he literally he just jumps up and goes, for fuck's sake, just tell them that you're a sex therapist. And it just, honestly, it was so funny. I was crying with laughter with that scene. And he done it so brilliantly as well. And what I'm trying to say is, I think when it comes to him being the Doctor, like, I have no concerns about him being able to play it dramatically, doing the comedy element or anything. So I think he's going to be incredible. I can't wait. I can't wait for him to start being the Doctor. You know,
that's the question as well. What way do we think he's going to play the Doctor? Seeing as Mike just mentioned about that, do you think he's going to go more comedic, more dramatic, moody, or just kind of settle into it as it goes along?
Stephen, do you want to take this one?
I don't know. Like you've watched him, so you'll have a better maybe on the idea what he might do. He might do all of the above, like most Doctors usually do. A combination of all of the above. It just depends on the interpretation of how they lean into it.
Well, but bear in mind, like when I watched Sex Education, which I've seen him in, his character arc is like really good in that. And if I remember correctly, his family is struggling with his sexuality, I think, and things like that. And there is scenes that he's done that is quite dramatic through that series as well, and he's done a brilliant job of it and everything else. And as I said, the comedy element to it is absolutely top notch. The dramatic element as well, like the scenes that I've seen him do as well, he's done brilliantly as well. So I have no qualms there. I think he's, as I said, it could be a combination of comedy element. Could be another. Could be dramatic. It could be anything at this point as well. So I think if anything, I think he'll put his own spin on the character anyway. So it's his own character. I know every Doctor will put their mark on it, but I reckon he himself will put a great mark on an incredible character.
Right, anything else?
No, I've not got anything else for the news.
Does anybody want to mention anything about that Dr. Donna Dr. Donna Thon? The
Dr. Donophon.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's like a dinosaur. Dr. Donophon.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. it's a red-haired dinosaur roaming the streets. Yeah. So for any fans out there that don't know, there's a competition apparently. So they're doing a Dr. Donathon, right, which is all the adventures with the Doctor and Donna as well. That'll be on the 4th of November. Everyone who's a fan of Doctor Who is invited to watch all the adventures of Doctor and Donna. It starts at 9:45 a.m. on the 4th of November. UK residents can watch it on BBC iPlayer, and there's a special competition as well, so you can get tickets to go to any London cinema, which you can enter by going to bbc.co.uk/send/U154949 or you can go to the Doctor Who official Facebook page and enter it through there. The competition ends on the 11th of October at 23:59.
And that was the news. And now time to go over to Mike for some jokes.
This segment is Who's Jokes? So, you can edit that part. Anyway,
Yeah, we need an echo on that.
yeah. Right. So, I called the local council to ask about their plans to prevent a Dalek attack. They said steps have been put in place.
For fuck's sake.
Come on, guys, get with the program. All right.
That's a bit outdated, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. It made me chuckle, all right? We're on about classic Who here. We're not on about
all right, okay,
modern
Who,
Who.
not new Who.
We're on about, this is classic Who, all right?
Right, okay.
What does the Doctor eat with his pizza? Dalek bread.
Sick.
I bought a Dalek egg timer. After 3 minutes, it shouts, "Exterminate!" Why did the Dalek eat fruit? An apple a day keeps the Doctor away.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on. Right, one more. Right, this is the last one now. How many Time Lords does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
None. They wait for it to regenerate.
Jesus, man. Right.
So, I hope you found those jokes funny. They're more like dad jokes than anything else. But counselling is available. Anyway, let's go on to the production of the Doctor Who story and see what was going on at that time when these episodes were aired.
So, during the airing of Unearthly Child, the first story of Doctor Who, otherwise known as 100,000 BC, or otherwise known as Doctor Who and the Tribe of Gum, it was aired originally from the 23rd of November to the 14th of December 1963.
So some of the hits at the time was You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers. And then on the 30th of November was She Loves You by the Beatles. And by the 14th of December, it was I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, which were obviously, making a massive dent in the music scene at that point. Some of the movies out at the time were McClintock, which was an American Western comedy film starring John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. By the 27th of November, there was a film called Fun in Acapulco, which was a musical comedy starring Elvis Presley and Ursula Andress. Now, you'll probably know Ursula if you're a Bond fan.
Mike, Tom, do you know Ursula by any chance? By name?
By name, no, but by face, I've just looked her up now. Sorry, I'm on my tablet.
Oh, you cheat!
I'm on my tablet.
Wait a minute. Was obviously Bond movies? She's not like the blonde woman. Was she blonde? Try to think what movie she was in now.
Mike, was she blonde?
Sorry, my computer, my thing's crashed. Hold on. Just continue on anyway, but I'm just trying to.
Anyway,
yeah.
If you've seen Doctor No, she's the Bond girl in Doctor No. She's Honey Rider.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
So yes, she is blonde.
Yes.
Yes, so she is blonde. Yes, I was right.
Some of the main events around the time of the first episode was the day before the first episode aired was a massive event. Do anyone know what that event might be?
No.
Tell us.
It was the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he was.
I had a feeling that's what it was.
Yeah, he was 46, and he got a massive shot to the head. They also had the death of Aldous Huxley, who's an author of a science fiction classic, Brave New World. And C.S. Lewis died that day as well, who's the creator of the Narnia books.
Oh, I love those.
On Saturday, the 23rd of November, the day of the first episode airing, in Manchester, a boy called John Kilbride goes missing. And this would later be find out to be the second victim of Ian Brady and Myra Hindley in what would become known as the Moors murders.
Christ.
And then the day after the first episode, on Sunday the 24th of November, guess what happened next?
Did somebody else die?
Yeah! Lee Harvey Oswald, the supposed assassin of President John F. Kennedy, is killed by Jack Ruby on live television.
Oh, right.
Robert H. Jackson takes a photograph of the shooting and wins the 1964 Pulitzer Prize in the photography for that photo.
So you could say that the Doctor literally tore time apart and caused all these deaths.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then...
No, I don't think he had a hand in it.
No, unfortunately not. And then on the Monday after the first episode was the John F. Kennedy's funeral. 10th to the 12th of December, Zanzibar and Kenya gained their independence from Great Britain. So do you want to guess anything about the viewing figures?
I don't think the viewing figures would have been great with all that going on.
Well, you're correct in one point. Yeah, the first episode went out on 23rd of November and it got 4.4 million. So they decided to repeat the first episode, before the second episode came out on the following Saturday. And so the viewing figures from then onwards, from the 30th of November. So the first episode got 6 million, which is a bit better.
Yeah.
Cave of Skulls, the second episode, got 5.9. That was in the same night. And then the week later, The Forest of Fear episode 3 got 6.9 million. And episode 4, The Firemaker, got 6.4. So that'll drop off at the end there.
Yeah.
Do you know when there's the Doctor Who poll from Doctor Who magazine? And they ranked them out of 29 stories of the first Doctor. So out of 29, what do you think the story ranks? Just as a guess.
I'm going to go 5th.
So Tom's going 5th. What's Mike going for?
I'm going to go for number 12. Why not?
Mike's going for number 12. Okay. So there was 4 polls from 1998 to 2023. So in 1998, it was ranked 10th.
All right.
In 2009, it was ranked 6th.
Oh.
In 2014, it was the same, ranked 6th, just after the 50th anniversary.
Yep.
And this year, it's just been ranked 10th again. So you're close, but not quite.
Hey, I'm the closest. I'm doing a dance right now.
Well, you were both kind of close because Tom went 5th. So, and Mike went 12. So, yeah.
Yeah, 12 is closer to 10 than bloody. Yeah.
Yeah, but for 2 years it was 6th, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Right.
Yep.
So in the pre-production stage for this story, David Whittaker came on as script editor. And script editors in those days were kind of ones dealing with the authors of the scripts. They would get storylines in, and then they would decide whether they wanted to go to script with that. So David Whittaker and Verity Lambert didn't really like the script that was set in the Stone Age so much, so they asked another writer to write a new opening story, which was Terence Dudley. But he declined. He said he was not going to do it. So they ran out of time, and they had to go with this story anyway. Wallace, the director, was worried about the inclusion of the cavemen in the story, as he felt that they shouldn't be speaking like proper English. But he thought that if they grunted too much, it'd be like poor entertainment for the people at home. And he didn't really want it to look silly like the Flintstones.
Is that when they came up with the idea of the what's it called? The translation system on the TARDIS?
No, they didn't come up with that until years later. So they just kind of winged it.
I think for the first few series they were just like, look, you can understand everyone, so you can. There's no like special thing that happens when you go into the TARDIS. You just understand everyone anyway.
Yeah. You know what the original TARDIS name was?
No.
It's a bit of a crap one, to be honest. I'm glad they changed it. I'll just tell you it now then, shall I?
Go well. Yeah.
It is called Change and Dimensional Electronic Selector and Extender.
So what's the acronym for that?
Chads. Chadisi.
It sounds like Janice off of Friends. Oh my God!
Sounds like something you would buy in an Ann Summers shop.
Oh my days! So what did you say the acronym for that was?
CADESAE. I don't know how you even say that. CADESAE. Yeah, for extender.
Kadisa. Kadisi. Yeah. Let's go to Kadisi, shall we?
Oh, right, whatever.
Yeah, but then you'll have all the Game of Thrones fans up in arms because it sounds too much like Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we had about 50 odd years on top of them, so hey ho.
Ah, well, yeah, fair point.
Righty.
Easy.
Susan was originally described to Caroline Ford as a young girl getting into fights, able to defend herself, and had telepathic abilities. That didn't really happen, though, unfortunately.
No, it didn't.
She was meant to be like a girl from, like, you know, well, you haven't seen the Spy for like the Avengers TV show, but she was meant to be kind of along those sort of lines, kind of like a, you know, like a River Song kind of character, but
Yeah.
she just wasn't that.
I think she screamed more than the companions.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now, the filming of the actual episodes began on the 20th of August to the 31st of August, where they filmed the opening titles, which we talked about in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
They filmed the TARDIS landing on the prehistoric Earth at the end of the first episode, and at the end of the fourth episode, they filmed all them on a bigger stage at Ealing Film Studios, and so because there wasn't enough space in Studio D, Lime Grove. William Russell, who played Ian, wasn't convinced that the show would last more than 52 weeks, and Caroline Ford thought it would be cancelled after 8 episodes.
Huh.
Boy, were they wrong.
Yeah, they were wrong, weren't they?
Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Sorry, I had to get that out there.
And thanks
Okay.
for that little rendition there. That was Mike McKellis. There, you were wrong.
I've always wanted to do that. I saw it in Scrubs. Right, anyway, let's crack on.
Yeah, so the rehearsals were not done on BBC property at that point. They were done in a Territorial Army drill hall in Hammersmith near Shepherd's Bush, and they would run from like 10:30 in the morning to 5:30. And it was basically hired out by the BBC. In the first morning, they basically have to read through the scripts, discuss any changes and blocking and rehearsing of the episodes, where they would note like the timings and stuff. Wednesday was usually where they would go and do publicity or costume fittings for like the episodes. And so each week they would usually do like the rehearsal of one episode. So by like the Friday they would film that episode. William Hartnell would catch like a train up to London from his home in Mayfield early Monday morning, and he stayed in like a flat not too far away from where it was getting filmed. And he basically would go out at night and just ignore his doctor's warnings about going out and just drinking and smoking, because he had his doctor had spoke to him quite a lot about his hardening of his arteries, but he just ignored his doctor's warnings and just did it anyway.
Yeah, that's what old people do. Though, it's quite funny because like the older generation is just like, it's all right, I'm still living, my heart's still beating, it's all right. Oh no, I'm dead. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of times you tell someone to go to the doctors and that, they never do it until it's too late.
Aye. So after recording the week show on the Friday, he would either get the train the Friday night or early the Saturday morning to go home. So they'll do the camera rehearsals usually on the Friday morning, have an hour's lunch, and then they'll do another rehearsal up until like 7 o'clock. And then they'd maybe have an hour's break, and then they'd have like 75 minutes from like 8:30 to film that episode. So if they didn't get it all completed, then that was it. Your time was up. And if you didn't complete the episode, then tough titty, basically. They didn't really like to edit the videotapes, so they were basically recorded as live. So if you made any mistakes, the actors if forgot a line, or like a boom mic was in shot, or a camera hitting the scenery or something like that, it basically would just be kept in the final episode as is, unless the actor made sure that they stopped filming by saying the word fuck, then they would have to cut that out and start again. But imagine doing that live, that amount of pressure that you only got a week to learn your lines, and then you've got to get up there and basically perform it live without fucking up.
Well, the only way I could relate to that is when I used to perform on stage. I did performing arts and that, and it's quite nerve wracking, doing it in front of an audience, But obviously, like, I remember a few years back, EastEnders did a live show, didn't they? And it must have been nerve-wracking for all the actors there because, like, one single thing wrong, it could be a chain reaction. You know what I mean? It's the same on stage as well. One thing goes wrong, and sometimes the whole, like, not the whole thing, but sometimes you can have little mishaps, but sometimes that can be a chain reaction as well. So it is nerve-wracking when you're trying to make sure that everything goes on perfectly. You know?
Yeah. So they basically had to, like, as they were filming, like, they had to, like, move around the set to get to, like, the next scene in real time. Basically, there were only a couple of breaks that they would do. I think, like, in the first episode, they did like the school scenes first, the break, and then I think they did the junkyard scene. And then they had another break, and then they did all the TARDIS stuff at the end.
Yeah.
So you see, like, in the episode, the original first episode, where they're doing, like, the flashback scenes with, like, Susan in the classroom, all of, like, Ian and Barbara's lines were recorded, like, they were pre-recorded before they did this episode, and then they were just played into the studio.
Right.
So, like, all, like, at this point in time, like, everything was, all the music and all the sound effects were all played in live to the studio as it was recorded. It wasn't added later on in editing. It was just added straight in at the time.
All right. I didn't know that. Jesus.
Yeah.
But that would have made it a lot more difficult to do the scenes, though, wouldn't it?
In some aspects, like, they were trying to film the original pilot. I think there was problems with the TARDIS set, because in the first take they did when they went into the TARDIS set to begin with, they couldn't get the doors closed properly because there was two stagehands opening and shutting the doors. And they couldn't get them shut properly, so it was banging and making quite a lot of noise, so they had to stop. And then the second time they did it, when Barbara goes through into the TARDIS, is when with the TARDIS sound playing.
Yeah.
But the TARDIS sound ended abruptly, like a couple of minutes in, so they had to stop and then redo it again the third time. So there's sort of instances like that. I think you can see in some, like, the actual pilot episode, the camera work's kind of shoddy because they're banging into stuff in the junkyard, and there's all sorts of things going on.
Yeah, they're almost tripping over. You can tell they're almost tripping over.
Yeah. Sidney Newman, can you believe this, actually hated the title music and the title sequence. So he wanted it all changed. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think he just didn't like it. But Verity stood our ground and said, I'm keeping it. So.
That's made, well, I wouldn't say that it's the main thing that made it. Well, actually, yeah, because, like, without the theme tune and, like, obviously the sequence to go with the theme tune and that, you wouldn't have what you have today, you know what I mean? So, you know, without any of that, like, I dread to think what the music would have been like. Like, when you think of Doctor Who, you think of the theme tune, you think of a blue box.
So Sydney viewed the pilot episode on Monday the 30th of September, and
So Sydney took Verity and Wallace out to lunch and said that he honestly thought about firing both of them, but he decided to let them do it again with the changes that he'd proposed.
And he had loads of notes on what he wanted changed. Can you imagine what they could have been?
What, the changes to the show?
Yeah, the changes from the pilot episode to the actual original first episode that was aired.
It'll be set and lighting and script, maybe characters, actors, actresses, basically it all.
I reckon it would have been probably the iconic blue box they probably would have wanted to change, I'd imagine, or at the very least the interior, at the very least. Or maybe even like William Hartnell himself, they may have wanted him changed to, like, for another actor. So, what are you thinking, Stephen?
Well, I know what the changes were.
All right, tell us then.
Well, I was just wondering if you might have any suggestions, you know, since you've watched the pilot episode and you've seen the actual proper episode.
Yeah.
There are some subtle changes in there. Basically,
I didn't notice much changes, to be fair. So,
well, there's a few changes. One is that he felt that Caroline Ford as Susan was too weird. She was too alien. The old man, Doctor Who, was not funny enough, and he was too much of a dick.
and too mean. So they kind of made him a bit more nicer and a bit more fun.
Mm.
So in the original episode, the pilot episode, Susan's like drawing. Like she's doing that sort of like Rorschach ink blot stuff, and then she draws. If you remember, she draws on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
well, said they
yeah.
didn't even know what that was about. Like, I don't know what that was about either, to be honest. So he said to get rid of it. So in the actual episode, she's actually reading the French Revolution book, and she says that that's not right when she reads it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They removed a statement that Susan said that she was born in the 49th century, and they
Oh,
make
yeah.
it it more
Yeah, they
vague.
did put that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that. I did. Now that you're mentioning these things, I have actually noticed these sort of changes. So yeah.
So the pilot version basically wasn't aired at all until it was found in like a BBC archive storage somewhere in like a completely different film canister. And it survived the purge of the 1970s basically because it was in the wrong film canister with the wrong title on it. And it aired on the 27th of August 1991
as part of a series of programmes to commemorate the closure of the Lime Grove studios where it was filmed. So, you know the cave fight in episode 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was all pre-filmed on a bigger soundstage, and that they played into the studio as they recorded episode 4. Now, Wallace, the director, wanted to place the sound of a carrot being crushed on the shot of Zara crushing Carl's head, but Verity didn't think this was a good idea, so she wanted it removed.
Yeah, because it's a children's show, wasn't it? So they had to like make it U-rated rather than like.
Yeah. But Wallace wasn't happy with this, and they had a massive argument. And he said he wanted to quit, but then Verity told him he couldn't quit because he was under contract to the BBC, so
Yeah.
he was stuck.
Yeah. How long was he contracted for?
I think it was contracted for the first 4 episodes at that point.
Yeah.
So he had to do it. They had to remount the entire episode. Betty was kind of pissed off because the design department ignored her request to keep the junkyard and school sets for the remount. So they had to rebuild them, which cost quite a bit.
I could imagine.
Yeah, so she was furious.
How much did it cost? Did you find that out or not?
Not really, but they were spending quite a lot of money at this point. They're spending like about $2,500 per episode.
Bloody hell.
Maybe more than that. So Saturday, the 12th of October, the cast and the director got back together for the rehearsals for the first episode again, with all the changes being made to the script and whatnot.
Once they recorded the new first episode, plans were being put in place for the future of the show, and there was quite a lot of uproar about how much the show was costing. So the heads of the BBC were thinking about canning it after 4 episodes, and they were basically told that they were going to have to think of something else that was a lot cheaper for the children's drama serial. And Verity had to go to a meeting basically to talk about the budget for the show. The design team had complained that the show was out of control and that it was too expensive and they would never be able to pay it off. And so they were imagining that it's going to be like 13 episodes, but Verity had to explain that she had budgeted it for like a 48 half-hour episodes for like the year, so then it would come out on budget.
All right. Yeah.
So all the rest of the episodes were recorded at Studio D Lime Grove from the 18th of October to the 8th of November. So the actors felt that the cavemen should just, like grunt and not talk like normal clear English accents. So at Ealing Studio, where a lot of the pre-filmed sequences were filmed, the sand on the studio was ridden with fleas, which then hopped into the extras' furs and caused them all to be really itchy and stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And then one extra walked out after being told her teeth would be painted black. So she was off. And Wallace, the director, asked male auditionees to take off their shirts to see if they had any body hair. so they could save money by not having to put hair on them.
God.
Yeah. So William Hartnell told Eileen Way, who played she played the old mother, the old woman in the prehistoric Earth.
Yeah.
He told her that the show would last 5 years, and she bet him £1 that it would be off air within 12 months. Unfortunately, he never met her again after recording the story, so he never got his money.
Oh, that's a shame. I would have tracked him down and gone, hey, give me it now. I won. Don't hide from me, woman.
Give me my money!
Give me the money now!
I don't know if you noticed in the actual episode, there's above the TARDIS set, there's like this big, massive hexagon sort of big unit thing that's up in the air above them.
No, I didn't notice that.
No, neither did I.
Well, if you go back and rewatch it, you'll notice there's this big hexagonal sort of unit thing that's suspended in the air above them. And that was kind of designed to be the ship's power source originally.
But it was very rarely used after this in any other serials going forward because it was too big and took too long to build, and it interfered with the studio microphones. So before the first episode aired, they got the news through that there's going to be another 13 episodes being going to be produced after the first 13.
So they were living in high hopes then, basically.
Yeah.
So Anthony Coburn wrote these first 4 episodes of Doctor Who. He was supposed to write the next story called The Robots, but obviously we know that's not the next story.
Yeah.
So do you have any ideas why that's not the next story?
I don't know, no.
No.
Well, basically, Anthony Coburn fell out with Verity Lambert over the next script, The Robots. And we believe it was due to his religious overtones to the story that didn't go down well with Verity Lambert. So in the end up, the story was never made.
Right.
It was published as a book in 1992, and Big Finish adapted it for a story for their audios in 2012.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, so it's on Audible then?
No, it's on Big Finish.
Okay.
Yeah, they changed the name to The Masters of Luxor.
Okay. The Masters what? Luxor?
The Masters of Luxor.
Ah, right, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So Coburn died in 1977, aged 49, from a fatal heart attack, unfortunately, and he never wrote for Doctor Who ever again.
That's a shame.
Well,
That's a shame, man.
It is a shame. Yeah, and then Terry Nation's story, The Survivors,
which is brought forward for story 2, which was known as The Daleks. And that is the end of my notes for the production of this story. I shall now hand over to Mike to take us through this story.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the 4th dimension? Have you? To be exiles?
An Unearthly Child is the first episode of Doctor Who starring William Hartnell, and it's also the first part of 4 parts that lead into his first adventure. You could see there's 2 teachers talking about one of their students who has a very high intellect, and they're very surprised at her high intellect as well. One of our teachers, Barbara, tells the other teacher, Ian, that she was offering extra lessons at Susan's home address, but Susan tells her that her granddad doesn't like strangers, and basically tells her that her granddad doesn't like strangers and that he won't allow it. And she also discusses about the address that is 76 Totters Lane, which turns out to be a junkyard. Both teachers, Barbara and Ian, decide to follow Susan home as they were quite concerned about Susan and wanted to find out what was going on. So they followed her to 76 Totters Lane, and while they're investigating, they come across the iconic blue box, which is the TARDIS, and they come across the Doctor. The Doctor confronts them. Both Ian and Barbara are both convinced that they could hear Susan within the TARDIS, and the Doctor tells them that they've been hearing things or whatever. Basically, just tells them that they can't have heard anybody within the box, sort of thing. Again, they end up hearing Susan's voice. They burst into the TARDIS and find that the blue box isn't just a blue box, and Susan basically explains that it is a TARDIS. It is something that travels through time and space. The Doctor and Susan get into an argument, and the Doctor basically panics and basically kidnaps both Ian and Barbara, and they end up in the Stone Age, and they end up coming across some cavemen. One of the cavemen come across the Doctor and sees that he is lighting, I think it's a match or a lighter, to light his pipe. And the caveman sees this and thinks that a fire comes from his hands, and basically takes him to his people and tells them that he can produce fire. The whole premise for these episodes is for two rivals, Cal and Zah, are trying to be the leaders of the cave people, but in order for that to happen, they need to learn how to make fire. Ian, Barbara, Susan and the Doctor ends up getting held against their will until they produce fire, which Ian does, thinking that they'll let them go as soon as they produce the fire. But they decide to keep them. That basically tells them that they're going to be staying with them, so they have to try and escape. Susan comes up with a plan to use the fire as a torch and put some skulls on it to scare the cave people, which turns out it does scare them, and it ends up giving them the chance to escape. Which leads me to the next thing of, as they're escaping, when they're filming with the cameras in front of them but running on the spot to make it look like they were running away, which I found quite funny, but it worked, and they managed, the Doctor, Barbara, Susan and Ian all managed to get back to the TARDIS and escape. And the last thing that you see before the episode ends is on the TARDIS console there is a radiation meter, and it shows very high radiation, and the episode ends there basically, which leads on to the next episode, which introduces the Daleks, which is a really good episode, I reckon. So that's the basic plot line of Unearthly Child in the first 4 parts of Doctor Who with William Hartnell, and I hope you've all enjoyed it.
Yeah, any thoughts on the first episode then?
I don't like. I liked it. Obviously, it's a good opener.
I enjoyed it.
People that haven't watched it and watched the modern day Who, they probably find it a bit weird that the Doctor's acting that way. You know what I mean? Bear in mind, this is like centuries before he becomes modern day. You know. Who sort of thing. So, but I think some of the modern day fans will probably struggle with the classics. You know what I mean? Because they're used to a certain representation for the show as opposed to the show that began. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we can ask Tom, because Tom's never actually seen any classic Who. I think this is his first shot into it. So
Yes.
you can give us his take.
Well, I enjoyed it actually. It was refreshing in a way. I know, like, going from New Who to classic Who, it will be very different because of the whole pacing of it from New Who. But it, from where it started, it was good. I enjoyed the way it was. Some of it, obviously, with the whole in the 60s and all that, it looked very like cheesy. that the acting was very kind of overacted, in my opinion, sometimes. But apart from that, it was good.
Yeah, I think it's everyone kind of thinks that the first episode was brilliant, and then I have heard some people say you should maybe skip episodes 2 to 4 and go straight to the Dalek. But I say, probably best is watching this one anyway, especially when it's kind of weird seeing the Doctor completely different. Especially when he tries to murder someone. That's fantastic.
Yeah, like I noticed that. I can't remember which one it was, but when is it Za or one of the cavemen anyway? They're lying
Za.
unconscious, yeah, and lying conscious, and dying and that, and the doctor's refusing to help him. And everything else. I think a lot of modern day fans who are like used to that version of the Doctor will really struggle with seeing that, like the earlier incarnation. Like especially the first Doctor, because he was so abrupt and he was so like what's the word I'm looking for? Self-important. You know what I mean? Like, and he didn't really care much about other people rather than himself, and obviously his granddaughter as well. And I was even seeing that for the second time. Like, like it's not the first time I watched that episode. But when I watched it for the second time, I was still taken aback by how much like change he has done over the years, but like how like he could do that sort of thing. He wasn't caring, you know what I mean? So
well, Mike, if you think about it, like with the whole that not caring thing, and I know we're obviously got to move on to this probably next week and all that, but the Eccleston Doctor, there's an episode where was it on the Space Station 1?
Yeah.
With the character that's literally had that much plastic surgery, she's a sheet of skin.
Yeah.
Cassandra.
Cassandra, that's it. Eccleston's Doctor has the very much of a reminiscence of that, because he just stands there and watches it happen.
Bear in mind, he was fighting in a time war as well. I get where you come from with that one, actually, yeah. But also, he's also fought in a time war. He's had to kill. He's had to be someone else. Yeah. He had to be a different version of his Doctor. But what he's done has kind of carried over with him. It's changed him for the worse. It wasn't until, like, obviously spending that time with Rose, he kind of changed, didn't he? So
yeah, but I think in every iteration of the Doctor, there's always got to be that maybe 1 or 2 episodes where there is got to be that Doctor who's just fed up with the shit and just doesn't. It's like, all right, just screw it, just let them. I
don't give a shit. Just die.
Yes, just die already. It'll be easier for me.
I don't know, but did you notice in the first episode that Susan explains that she came up with the name of TARDIS from the initials?
Yeah, I noticed that as well, but I don't think it's because, like, by the sounds of it, like from when we see people from Gallifrey and everything else, like they also refer to their time machines as TARDISes as well. So, maybe it was just I don't know.
I think she's just bullshitting.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, she is a teenager. She's probably just bullshitting to make them like her.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, it was better than the other choice, wasn't it?
No, yes,
yes.
Kadishi.
Kadishi.
Sounds like a nappy rash. Anyway,
she's got Kadishi.
But no, I think, you're right. There are different, like, in different adorations of the Doctor, like, he does change quite dramatically depending on the situation. But, like, what I'm referring to is he's obviously the first Doctor. He's very uncaring, even from the beginning. And he thinks of himself important in that. And it's that time with humans that he's actually, I'm not that important. These people are, you know what I mean? So But
Yeah.
I was just taken aback by the fact that the first Doctor was willing to kill or willing to let a man die, whereas the Doctor we all know and love would bend over backwards to try and help. You know what I mean? To try and save the person.
Well, yeah, like this. I don't know. It's in this first episode, like on Unearthly Child, first episode. It sets up like a character arc for the first Doctor, which kind of gets paid off when Susan leaves. I don't think the writers actually meant to put it in there. I think it just happened by accident. But I'll explain when Susan leaves is. I'll be interested to see if you actually pick up on it by the time Susan leaves what the character arc is.
Right. Okay.
The Doctor goes on an even bigger character arc throughout the first Doctor's run of him actually becoming a bit more nicer and not as much of a dick.
Yeah.
So basically we're on 3 episodes of people trying to find fire.
Yeah.
And they're basically an old woman telling this guy he's shite because he can't find fire.
I want fire. Fire.
No, the old woman told him not to find fire.
Yeah, because you're shit.
We need fire.
We don't need fire. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Stop rubbing
I'm
two
old, I know
sticks
what I'm
together.
saying.
Stop rubbing the sticks together and go get some food, you prick.
No, but did you notice that in the episode how he was actually trying to make fire?
Yeah. He's just rubbing sticks and like, oh.
No, he wasn't rubbing sticks. He was rubbing a bone in his hand.
Yeah. Well, you know.
No, but then he's going, this is how my dad did it. He's like, oh, I don't think that's what he was doing.
Jesus. Dude can't even bury a bone in peace.
What's got everyone around him watching him?
What would be worse if he was actually using one of his dad's bones as well?
That's how he probably like his dad came up with his name and that. But
and we've got Kal-El from like he's trying to be Superman and trying to find fire, but he can't.
Yeah.
Thing is, like, yeah, it is interesting. It is a good opener for the Doctor and for people to be introduced to the first Doctor to see what his origins is actually like and what he was actually like in our point of view as a young man. Like, obviously he's old, but I'm back. So, like, obviously, in our point of view, he's young. You know what I mean? He's a young Doctor. You know what I mean? So he's obviously got a lot to learn about being kind and all the rest of it, which he needs to learn through having his relationships with the humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously Susan as well. So, but it's a good opener, and I think anybody that wants to be introduced to the classic who hasn't already watched it, it'd be good, like, for them if they're curious to how the Doctor was in his early years.
Yeah. Like, it's unfortunate that Susan and Barbara were the ones screaming their heads off, though.
Yeah, at one point I had to turn down this telly, and I didn't even have it loud because they just screamed that loud. But I didn't even have it that loud either. That was the worst thing about it. But wasn't the woman that played Susan hired because she could scream though?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you because I remember you saying that in the last episode, I think.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the contributing factors. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for Cal though, because he's the one that sees him, the Doctor, like light a match, and like he takes him back to the tribe, and he's like, "This guy can like produce fire," and like they're like, "Oh, this is bullshit, mate. What are you talking about?" And they're all acting like he's some guy who came back and has been abducted by aliens, and he's like telling them all this fantastic story, and they're just like, "You're just insane, man. Go away."
Yeah, you nut job, get out of here. So
nuts, go away, mate. Stupid.
Jesus. But
I think it's quite funny though, because in the first episode the Doctor's like lording it over like Ian and Barbara because he's so fantastic. And then he shits himself in the next episode because he's realised, like, I'm in the Stone Age and I'm going to get murdered if I don't make fire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but then he's like, Ian, you go get your hands free first. You're stronger than you can protect us.
Yeah.
So he's basically just going, you're the human shield. Fuck off and do your job. Let me run away.
Yeah. The thing is, did anybody clock? I think it was the last episode when they're trying to make a break for it to the TARDIS in the last episode. You see the camera angles they were using for when they were running through the bushes?
Yeah, they're just standing on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, smacked in the face with stage hands.
I had to laugh at it because it was so stupidly done, but at the same time it kind of worked, which was weird. Like,
yeah, but at that point, you really don't want to piss off a stagehand, do you?
no. But it weirdly worked though. Like, you know what I mean? Like for the way the camera angle was, the way the actors were doing it, and all the rest of it, I was like thinking, what the hell? What are you doing? But then I was like, at the same time, I was like, like I had to suspend disbelief, sort of thing. You know what I mean? So, but I was surprised that the Doctor didn't have a heart attack on the way to the bloody TARDIS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could have just killed over right there.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but it would have regenerated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they didn't think of regeneration at that point and went, oh, well, that's the episode done.
Stuck in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
That's the series. Bye.
Oh, did you notice that, like, when Cal first sees, I think it's Cal, when, you know, like, when they're about to kill, like, the Doctor, and then, like, they all run in, and, like, and Cal, I think when Cal first sees, like, Barbara, he's like, oh, hi, how you doing? Oh, you look nice. And then the old woman's like, kill her! And he's like, all right, then. It's just like, there you go, men were still doing what they were told back then. Anywho, anything else? Oh yeah, because Susan comes up with the idea to like have the fire and then put the skulls on top of them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite good. But she doesn't even get that bloody moment because fucking Ian comes in and goes, right, that's my idea, I'll take that, thanks.
Hey!
Like, I'm the man here.
Yeah, to be fair, like, you can tell that was the trend back then, though. Like, a woman would come up with an idea and then the guy would steal it.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
like,
Sexist bastard.
I was like, you absolute dickhead. Like, you just stole that lassie's thunder, you prick. She'd get done over the head and then you'd be put into that skull. That torch skull. But yeah.
Oh, did you notice when the Ian was actually starting to try to make the fire, rubbing the two sticks together? He wasn't even actually rubbing them together.
No,
I didn't notice that either. To be fair,
did you notice the flame as well? It was a very established flame that came up from nowhere near where he wasn't rubbing the stick.
Yeah,
and it was like, quick, Susan, Barbara, keep blowing,
blow, women, blow.
Blow, women, blow!
Blow the man down, blow the man down.
Ian's like, I'm not going to blow because I did all I did this with my hands. Oh. I did all the work with my hands. Oh, you blow, you did nothing. You just sat there.
You could say it was Ian's old flame. Anywho.
So, I think it's quite good how the Doctor like figured out how Cal was the actual one that murdered the woman, and he got Cal to admit it in front of everyone.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. So
stupid stone.
And then they were
stupid
just like, they were like, let's throw rocks at this person.
Yay!
because this person that looks strange that we don't know has got in to say something.
The thing is, though, like it just shows that he's using his noggin sort of thing, and probably his powers of like deduction sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Aye, because the Doctor says like join in, throw stones, and then Neil's like, all right then. He picks up the stones and flings at him.
No, but then as well, I love it when the Doctor confronts him like about the knife. He goes, "This knife hasn't got blood in it," and he just and the other guy's just like, "Oh fuck, it hasn't."
It's a bad stone. Just not sure what it does.
But yeah, that's fine. Jesus. Has anybody got anything else that we want to add?
No, just that the radiation meter rises at the end to say danger, but no one notices because they're all like, "Oh, it's fine, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just
Let's have a cup of
bye-bye.
tea."
Yeah, because
Cup of tea and some biscuits.
yeah, because originally when she checked it, there was like the radiation levels were normal or something, weren't they? And then they just like
Yeah.
as she walked away, it went went into red. So
Yeah, they're not going to double check that, are they?
yeah, but
You know, you'd think they'd have a buzzer or something like that when that happens, just to let them know.
Yeah, like a wee egg timer. Going, exterminate!
Yeah.
it's not exterminate; it's exterminate.
Egg.
Excellent.
Eggs.
I'm only joking. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what's cut? I think. Well, I've obviously seen this episode, like this next episode, before, but I'm looking forward to actually watching it again to see what I've missed the first time. Because obviously, when you watch something, you always miss something, and when you watch it a second or third or whatever times, you end up going, "Oh, I never noticed that last time." You know. So
Yeah. So hopefully Tom's not put off by watching Classic Who.
No, I'm not actually. I'm looking forward to the next storyline with the Daleks.
Yeah. Obviously, next episode we're going to be reviewing Rose, and then the following episode after that we'll review Daleks. So
yes,
yeah,
hopefully it won't be too long. But that's 7 episodes of Daleks, so that should be fun.
yeah.
So we have to actually rate the episode. We didn't do that.
Oh yeah.
But do we rate the episode or the storyline?
The story. So
The
with Classic
story.
Who, it's going to be obviously going to be a story. So we rate the story all in one go. And then
Right.
New Who, it's basically going to be episodes of, it's like a 2-parter or something, then that's like basically a story. So we do them. But for this, it's basically just as the one story, all 4 episodes.
Okay.
Right, so we've created our own rating system for the episodes based on like a 1 to 5 star rating system, but we've got, instead of 1 to 5, we've just basically got names, and they're basically just like quotes from Doctor Who. So if you're saying it's like a 1 star, which is basically crap, it's the quote would be
Don't like it.
and that basically means that you were bored and you never want to watch it again. 2 stars would be
Good grief.
from the Third Doctor, which is like, it's not great. I might never watch it again, but it's not terribly bad. 3 stars, it's in the middle, so it's
That's good.
it's a pile of good things and bad things. 4 stars,
Brilliant.
I would watch it again. 5 stars,
Fantastic.
I would watch it again. It's the one you would go to watch first.
Cool.
So who wants to go first?
I'll go first then. What's called for me? I would say it's
Good.
it's very old. I did like the episode. It was a good opener and things like that as well. Obviously, it's what started off the show, but I don't want to put good grief because it wasn't that bad. It was a good opener and it was a good introduction into that sort of story, into that universe.
Okay, cool. Tom,
Right.
you want to go next?
I'd have to agree with Mike and
Good.
because, like Mike said, it's the first storyline, so there's still going to be teething problems with it. They're still trying to find what Doctor Who really is. So hopefully it will. We know it will get better from then progressively better.
Okay, cool. And for myself, I'd definitely say
Good.
2. I think the first episode's brilliant, and then episodes 2 to 4 are they're all right. The first story of Doctor Who, it's not a bad opening. It does get better from here on in. There's some good bits and some bad bits. Yeah, I would watch it, but I wouldn't like to watch it straight away. So yeah, so that's my rating. So obviously, next episode we're reviewing Rose from series 1 in 2005. We'll look forward to reviewing that.
Yep.
It's a lot less watching because there's only 45 minutes of one episode.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Uh,
So we just need to say goodbye now, people, and,
all right.
and say hello, and make sure people follow us on our social media. So if you look for Adventures in Time and Space on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, please follow and subscribe and listen to more episodes here with us. So if we all like to say goodbye.
Well, it's a goodbye from him.
And a goodbye from him.
And a goodbye from who?
Good night, everyone, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing the food.
That's ood.
That's food.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks,
Catch you next
guys.
time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.